Several clubs exploring Harry Wilson, who is a free agent as it stands this summer. Aston Villa is one of the interested teams. It is getting more and more likely that Harry Wilson will leave Fulham at the end of his contract in the summer. And a lot of the talk really has been that Aston Villa would be one of the main teams interested in him. Of course, surprisingly, Harry Wilson is 29 years old. I don't know how, but he is. But, it would be a player, if he was to make the step up as his kind of a big final move maybe, then it would be to a team, maybe like Aston Villa, who would be in the Champions League. He would be a valuable squad player. He wouldn't probably start, but he would be one of those which comes off the bench and probably creates a bit of magic by banging it in top bins against every single club he plays. He would replace probably the likes of Buendia and Ross Barkley at the team, who don't really have much of a future there. But it's interesting to see what other teams would be interested. I've got to assume that one of those would be Tottenham if they were to stay up. Tottenham are on a little run of looking at loads of players who are out of contract in the summer, like Andy Robertson and Marcus Senesi from Bournemouth. And you've got to assume that Harry Wilson's part of that list, as Tottenham are trying to keep away from the PSR, which are apparently in a little bit of danger of, whilst also trying to increase the amount that they spend on wages. Because Harry Wilson, he's a player that haunts Tottenham every single time he plays us, it feels. Probably most fans of most teams feel like that with him. And, he might be a patchy player, he might perform here and there, but for a player that can create a bit of magic off the bench, he would be a dream. And especially at Tottenham, when we don't really have anyone, and the only people that we do have that are creative are injured, and who knows when they'll be back. But obviously it would only be if Tottenham stayed in the Premier League. But you can imagine a lot of teams will be fighting over his signature in the summer. Aston Villa mainly have been the ones talked about, and you probably assume that he would end up there. And he could still stay at Fulham, especially if Marcus Silva remains as their manager, as his contract is running out this summer too.